Well, hi everyone. And last week we weren't able to do our Friday night live stream, so we decided to do something today. And uh, these Finnish anti-racists have been very, sorry for that, very uh, active in the past few months. And uh, around this time last year, I told that, okay, these guys are clearly radicalizing in a way, that these anti-racists are becoming um, uh, more and more like Antifa or these very openly illegal means using groups. And now they are even bordering this Stormfront style. And I don't know if you know this game on Reddit, this Stormfront or social justice. But the game goes that you pick up a quote from either a social justice warrior or a neo-Nazi. And you leave out the writer and you place it there on the forum. And the other people are supposed to guess which one is it. Is it from a social justice warrior or is it from a neo-Nazi? And now these anti-racists want race traitors hunted down in Finland. But of course, it's not the white race traitors, but the brown ones, like Younes. And he was actually named in the article as one of the most notorious race traitors of colored people.
I didn't do nothing.
And of course, the writer of this article is from my favorite anti-racist group, which I like to read a lot because these people are so crazy that it's very entertaining. And this man is Enrique Tessieri, and he's some sort of a South American. I don't know, where is he
I
from?
think he's from Argentina, but I'm not sure. And well, he's been for many years writing stuff. His blog is called Migrant Tales. Basically, they are fairy tales, but this
It's very post-truth, shall I say?
Yeah. So this July 16th article is titled "Finland's culturally diverse community must point out and scorn our Uncle Toms."
And this is under Muhammad Shire and Enrique Tessieri. Don't those just sound like names of people who have the interest of Finnish people at their heart?
So this is the author of this blog, and you can Google him. It's migranttales.net, and he starts with, "What does it say about our society when second-generation children of migrants join far-right groups that spew racism?" I don't know what it says, but we have a few of them in Finland, like Gleb Simanov. Gleb Simanov is the bus driver that got fired because he didn't let Somali freeriders in the bus.
And this case is covered in my video, Somali teens versus the toughest bus driver in Helsinki. So Gleb has Russian ancestry. He's a white male, but with Russian ancestry. I wouldn't call him like a child of migrants. The word migrant usually refers to these third world immigrants who are economic migrants. But usually these people like Russians, they can have lived here for several generations. Like Gleb, he doesn't even speak Russian. I don't know if his family speaks it either. So no, these are not migrants, these people. They are children of immigrants.
He's not even a second generation migrant. He was born in Russia. We interviewed this guy actually one day before this blog was written, and here's how it looks like. He looks like this. This is the guy, and we interviewed him on a live stream.
So he's somehow a race traitor because he chooses to ally with Finnish people instead of Somalis. Like somehow this guy is supposed to have like more loyalty to Somalis than to Finnish people. like Finnish and Russians, they are ethnically basically the same people, especially the Finns from the eastern part of Finland. They are genetically very much like Russians. But what is Gleb supposed to have in common with, say, Iraqis or Somalis?
Yeah, and where's the racism in not letting people write for free? I don't know. And as usual, this migrant tail dude, he makes up stuff. He doesn't check the facts. Or maybe he does, but he just
doesn't care.
Yeah, he decides to write what he thinks is the. I don't know. I remember that a few years ago I commented his blog, but if I remember correctly, he always removed my comments. And
yeah, I don't even try to comment his blogs. I know he'll just remove and block me.
And
but this got even better, that we have a few of them in Finland, like Gleb Simanov, and the even more notorious types like Junes Lokka. So you're a child of migrants now. Like, do tell who in your family is a migrant?
I don't know. He mentions also Marco de Witt,
a man of Dutch origin, so a European guy.
And I think he's.
And Marco is the guy who runs the Finland First demos in Helsinki, which we have mentioned in some other videos.
And then there's Miki Sileoni. I think Miki is.
He's not even. He's like Marco. He's a European guy who has some relatives who have moved to Argentina. Like his grandparents live in Argentina, I think. But but they too are of European origin, so he's a European guy.
And he continues with by saying that of the above four names, Sileoni is the least known. He's an active far-right Suomi Ensin member, Finland First member, and was a candidate in the municipal elections of April. I know Sileoni's Argentinian father and was quite surprised that his son is so spiteful of cultural diversity. Diversity is our greatest.
And Argentinians, of course, if this guy was Argentinian, they, of course, have a good reason to fear cultural diversity, because that's pretty much what brought Argentina down. Around 100 years ago, Argentina was a nice place to live. Then there was uncontrollable immigration, which turned it into a complete hellhole.
And says, yeah, his grandparents were migrants that came from Europe to Argentina. So what? His grandparents moved to Argentina, so he has no right to be a member in so-called far-right groups or what? And here's a Facebook post that the bus driver did. We were able to get about 250 euros using Super Chat on that day, and we will offer that money to the bus driver who got fired. And here he just says that thank you for the interview and so on. And he says that Simanov didn't turn to his boss to address the problem of people not paying their bus fares, but turned to the most extremist and racist publications in Finland. So YouTube is a racist publication. Okay.
Apparently.
And most extremist. He has.
And keep in mind, you are the extremist. It's not the guys in there who are raping people, who are like threatening to murder their sister because of Islam. They are not the extremists we should worry about. It's you.
I think that the bus driver did turn to the bus, but
But he wasn't listened to.
yeah, they didn't care. They were just go on, do your stuff, and never mind if Somalis don't pay. And here he's interviewed by Younes Lokka, a Moroccan-born Finn who hates Muslims.
Like, that's a good definition for you. You are a Moroccan-born Finn who hates Muslims. Like, you're not a city councilman, you're not a blogger, you're not anything like that. You're just a Moroccan-born Finn who hates Muslims.
Where are those Muslims?
And my title is even better. And his girlfriend. And this is the thing about leftists. They always like to complain about sexism, like especially like referring to people as somebody's girlfriend, like when Amal Clooney was referred to as George Clooney's girlfriend instead of a human rights lawyer or something. And they always refer to me as Younes's girlfriend. That it's not a blogger, it's not a vice city councilwoman, nothing like that. It's just the girlfriend of Younes Lokka. And I've seriously considered that maybe as this ironic move, I should make that my only description on Twitter, on Blogger, on Facebook, just like the girlfriend of Younes Lokka. That's who I am. Nothing else.
Yeah, so he goes on with, in the United States, minorities such as blacks protect themselves from people like Lokka, DeWitt, Simonov, Siloni, and others by labeling them Uncle Toms. They protect themselves of what?
With labeling. Labeling is a good thing now.
Okay, there are people who are talking on YouTube, so we have to protect ourselves. From what? The term Uncle Tom came originally from a book published in 1852 by Harriet Beecher Stowe called Uncle Tom's Cabin, which was a black man. The cabin was a black man.
This is such bad English.
Black man who helped people escape slavery. Later on, the term Uncle Tom became derogatory to describe someone who betrays their group by taking part willingly or unwillingly in its oppression. Like
now we are bordering the Stormfront or social justice area, that now he is like playing with the idea of being a race traitor. But it gets much worse when we go along.
Even if the term isn't still used very much in Finland, still, but wait. The Finnish language equivalent would be tuomo-setä or setä-tuomo. At Migrant Tales, we have called Uncle Tom's mamus or mamusetas. Okay, okay. No one has heard of you, but thanks for the information. Mamu is the shortened nickname some Finns used to call maahanmuuttaja or immigrants.
And it's simply a shortened word, like the word is maahanmuuttaja, mamu.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
So it's basically like IRS or FBI or anything like that. It's simply quicker to type than maahanmuuttaja is.
Yeah, it's not actually an acronym, but as you see, this word is pretty long, and in here it's the two first letters of each syllable. Not syllable, but these are two different words and so on. But anyway, it's the short version of that, and it has it's normal to use it. Even if some white Finns, where are the black Finns, use the term mamu, it is considered by some as demeaning. Helsingin Sanomat, Finland's largest daily, stopped using the term mamu in its headlines and stories a while back.
And of course, you can always find people who will find something demeaning, but even the so-called far right doesn't consider the word mamu demeaning because they don't use the word like that. There are two different words these people use. Mamu is used for immigrants, but when talking about these economic migrants for developing countries, these so-called racists talk about matus, maahan tunkeutuja, invader. So even they make a distinction between the two.
Apart from all of its connotations with one N, the term of or label Uncle Tom is one way that a minority defends itself against members the same group that betray their ethnic group.
And now we are in the full-on mode of the Stormfront or social justice, who betray their ethnic group. So this guy has enough sense to realize that, yeah, there maybe should be some loyalty between people of the same ethnicity, but he gets it so twisted. Like he doesn't recognize it that Finnish people have the right to be loyal to their own ethnicity. And second of all, he labels people pretty weirdly, that if you are a Finnish person, then you should have no loyalty to anyone. But if you are a non-Finnish person, you should have always first your loyalty to other non-Finnish people. Like a Dutch person is supposed to be loyal to Somalis before he's loyal to Finnish people, or a Russian person is supposed to be loyal to Somalis before he's loyal to Finnish people, and he gets it so twisted. And I don't understand that. If the Moroccan half in you is enough to make you a race traitor to Moroccans, if you were an anti-racist, wouldn't the Finnish half in you make you a race traitor to Finns?
This idiot doesn't know.
Why does the Moroccan half count more?
This idiot doesn't know anything about me. He just, this idiot, he could call me and ask for an interview. We could have a hangout and talk about this. But no, these idiots, they are just, hello, I will be typing today. Today I will be typing some shit and I will spread it on my inbred group. What?
Yeah, and of course, everybody knows that in Europeans, Moroccans generally are a pretty nasty bunch. And it's hard to see what you have in common with those people. You don't even speak their language. But still, because of ethnicity, or even partly shared ethnicity, there's supposed to be some greater loyalty to them than there is to Finnish people with whom you share culture and language and everything. So apparently, this guy has some sort of a one-drop rule, that if there is even a one drop of non-Finnish blood in you, then you are an ethnic minority and you should have only loyalty to other ethnic people, regardless of what ethnicity. They don't even have to be close to the same, to the ethnicity you have. It's enough that they are not Finnish. All non-Finnish people unite.
These people are so clueless that I don't know how they are able to even power on their computers to write this shit. But there's absolutely no logic, loyalty to no. Let's continue. It's Mamuseta is also defined as a person who knowingly or unknowingly scorns people of his ethnic group, believing that he or she will gain more privileges and social recognition. You mean like the Finns that say that I'm ashamed of being a Finn?
Or who say that all Finnish people are hicks and Finnish people have no culture and Finnish food is bad and Finnish music is terrible, and so it's like those Finnish people.
Migrant Tales published in 2014 the following characteristics of a Mamuseta. Okay, so this is 3 years old, but no one has heard of this.
I have never heard of that before.
Excessive subservience to white Finns.
Like excessive.
Yes, master. The fuck is this idiot? Why is he writing this shit? Who pays for him?
This is just so hilarious, because who is excessively subservient to white Finns?
Some Mamus claim to be migrants, but are in fact Finns since they have lived most of their lives here. They magically
turn Finnish.
They changed their race by living in a different geographical location than what.
So if I move to, say, Taiwan and live there for a few years, I become a Taiwanese. And people are supposed to ask no questions if they ask me, okay, where are you from? And I say, I'm from Taiwan. So, and if people say, okay, but where are you really from? I can call that a microaggression.
So some immigrants that claim to be migrants but are in fact Finns. So that makes you an Uncle Tom.
And we got from Daniel Bem a super chat message saying, stay strong. Thanks.
$5. Wait. So imagine, picture this. There's
why would a person like this call himself a migrant? Like if this Uncle Tom type of personality is so eager to please Finns and gain privileges, why would they label themselves as migrants? Why wouldn't they call themselves Finns? But it's this anti-racist crowd that has these Somalis and other people who claim to be Finns. And of course, they are not Finnish people. Living in Finland doesn't turn them Finnish.
It's like there's
like they have these people like Sultan Said Ahmed, who is a Somali claiming to be a Finn, and in our circles, everybody's completely open about their ancestry. Like you have never claimed anything else about your ancestry, but these anti-racists, they are the ones lying. They claim everybody in their group is a Finn.
And I don't know, but let's say there's a foreigner in Finland, and he says, "Yeah, I'm from Spain." This guy has said, "No, stop being an Uncle Tom. You have lived here for 1 year, so you are Finn." Or in the US, a guy who says, "Yeah, I'm from Germany." No, you are a US citizen since you have spent 2 years here. And by the way, you are an Uncle Tom by saying that. He or she is a mouthpiece of the arguments used by some white Finns to maintain migrants and visible minorities as second and third class citizens. I didn't know that these visible minorities were second or third class citizens. I thought that they were, it was the other way around, but plays down and denies like some white Finns racism. Okay, so there's a Vietnamese guy who says that I never encountered any racist people here. So, I have never had problems. No, you are an Uncle Tom. Underestimates the destructive power of racism.
Like, how big are you supposed to play it? Like, how dramatic are you supposed to be about it?
It's like Ebola.
And this plays down and denies like some white Finns racism. This is interesting because, as I've said it in some of our Finnish live streams, we live in northern Finland, which is much more conservative and nationalist as an area than, say, Helsinki. And still, we have never encountered racism here. Like there was one instance in which somebody has said anything, and it was a man downtown who mentioned, okay, that man of yours, he's pretty dark, but there's no problem with it. Like he just mentioned it. He wasn't clearly a racist or anything. He just mentioned it. And that's the racism we have met in most likely one of the most nationalist bigger towns in Finland.
And Uncle Tom also never or rarely speaks of systemic racism and accepts the status quo. Okay, so do you? Hello, can I interest you in some systemic racism? No, what is that? Okay, you are an Uncle Tom. But in fact, we have spoken about this, and we have noticed that it's bullshit. So that doesn't concern us, that criterion. claims to be against racism, but has the same opinions as the worst racist in Finland about minorities in his or her own country. What does this mean? He has the same opinions as the worst racists in Finland about minorities in his or her own country.
I think he means Finland with the end, otherwise it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so what do you... Okay, there's a conversation between an Uncle Tom and the worst racist. What do you think about the minority? I don't know, a minority in Somalia, the Bantus. They are very oppressed. They are being held as slaves, and they agree. So he's an Uncle Tom. Believes that kindness and understanding are the most effective ways of challenging a social ill like racism. Here's kindness and understanding. You must not understand or be kind. You have to beat people with a bike lock.
And who has even said that? Like, I'm the most likely one of the on the ideological level, one of the worst racists in Finland, and I have never said that we should challenge social ills like racism with kindness and understanding. I have said we shouldn't challenge them all because they are non-issues.
The sacked bus driver Simonov fits all of the above traits just like De Witt, Locke, and Sileoni do. No, I have spoken about systemic racism. And,
yeah, we have debunked that a lot of times.
And I'm not excessively subservient.
Not to the cops, at least.
I do not claim to be a migrant.
You should start claiming to be a migrant. I have said it many times over that you would have it so much easier if you said that you were a paperless Iraqi or something.
Others that come to mind are Fia Saarni. She's the wife of a far-right MP, Olli Immonen. Ashraf Benjamin. This Ashraf Benjamin is an Egyptian doctor who has written to the Prime Minister of Finland a letter, and he has been interviewed in many newspapers during the invasion in 2015, and he said that we should deport all the rapists, and he said that many of the so-called refugees in fact are not refugees. He's an educated guy, he's a doctor. Well, but Belle Selenetsia, she was also in this PS, which this guy,
the Finns party.
Yeah, the Finns party, and for this guy, this is a far-right party, and she has Chinese origin.
Yeah, she was a councilwoman, wasn't she? Helsinki, I think.
Yeah, or a substitute.
Yeah, vice council.
Yeah, and okay, and the fact that a person whose parents or himself was born abroad and becomes a hardcore racist reveals something disturbing. Finland is such a difficult country to fit in for migrants that they don't blame those who oppress them, but those who are oppressed.
But isn't there another way to see that, like that these people are so well integrated into the Finnish society that they are becoming just as racist as Finns? They are the perfectly integrated migrants. And if Finland really is such a difficult country, why are they accepting of people like you? Like, why is the far right basically saluting people like Gleb Simonov or you? If they are so racist, why don't they have a problem with Gleb being Russian or you having Moroccan background?
So David is oppressed.
Apparently, you are oppressed too.
The Egyptian doctor is oppressed. Gleb Simanov is oppressed. Well, he's oppressed by the bus company that fired him. But
Fia Immonen is
but we are fighting.
The wife of the MP showing baby pictures on Facebook. Apparently, she's oppressed because she has some Turkish origin somewhere behind her.
I think she's from Kosovo or Bosnia or something. But the bus driver is oppressed. Okay, he's oppressed by the bus company. But we, the so-called far right, we are the only ones who fight for his right to drive a bus. All these.
So we are fighting for oppressed minorities, and we are fighting for your free speech. Like you have so many criminal complaints, police investigations, charges lined up for you for just using your free speech, and we are fighting for your rights as a minority.
The only oppressors are the anti-racists and the stupid people. So that's...
Like, could you name a racist who has tried to oppress you?
No, but of course, well, we should define what racist means.
Of course, people like Enrique, they are racist. He's talking about race traitors and shit. Like, this is Stormfront material, very clearly.
Yes, because I'm not sure if all the listeners understand, but when the word racism and racist, it actually doesn't mean anything. If you do not let people ride for free in the bus, you are racist. If you
want rapists deported, you are a racist.
Actually, but with the deportations, there's a...
And this is so interesting that they never start to question the contradictions they themselves create. Like this guy mentions that the MP mentioned, Olli Immonen, he's a far-right MP, but also he mentions that the wife of this MP is an oppressed minority. If he is so far-right, if he's so racist, how come he's married to an oppressed minority? And this happened in an anti-racist group maybe around a week back, that they shared one of my blog posts, and they were, of course, very offended. I don't even... it was about the mosque wanting to have Sharia courts in Finland. And the man who had made the application to the Justice Department was of Moroccan origin. And I talked about him in my blog post. And these anti-racists said that, oh, it's so ironic that she chooses to pick a Moroccan guy for her example, because she's dating a Moroccan herself. Okay, so you are, on the other hand, saying that I am a racist against Moroccans, and that's why I picked this guy. I didn't pick him. He was the application maker. There was no other choice. But on the other hand, you are also saying that I'm not enough racist against Moroccans, that I'm a sort of a hypocrite. So which one is it?
So the racism doesn't mean anything. Basically, it's anti-white or anti-European. And these people...
And in this article, anti-Finnish. All non-Finnish people unite.
The only real racists are these warriors, or what is this shit? But speaking of deportations, I don't know if we have talked on this channel, but we have had since February, there's been different camps in Helsinki on the railway square, which have now moved away. So there's the Iraqis mostly who are illegally in the country. They have had a demonstration that started on February the 11th, and then there's some people that are mentioned in this blog, and you have these anti-racists that are also going to the airport when there's deportation, and they are using drums and they are shouting that the migration office should be ashamed and the police should be ashamed, and they are whining and they are basically rioting, but they are not like in Germany yet, that they do not throw fire bombs, or they do not hurt the police yet, but it will.
They just run in front of the police cars, claiming that the cops are trying to run them over.
So they
stuff like that.
They oppose also deportations, and for example, the last time it was the beginning of July, we noticed that they were at the airport, and these so-called racists, they were live streaming from the airport. So at least I watched the show, and so they oppose deportations, but they have no idea of the people who get deported. For example, the next day there were newspaper articles in which they said that one of the deported was had lived for 19 years in Finland. So it's not from the latest batch of 2015, but it's a completely different case. Some of the deported might be criminals, and that's the reason they are deported, and not the reason for their deportation is not that they got a negative asylum decision.
For example, lately there have been deported the Somali man Abdikarir Osman Hussein, who is several times convicted rapist and murderer, a child rapist, killed a teenage girl, all this horrible stuff. He had this 20-year crime spree in Finland before we managed to get him back into Somalia. And the other guy who is now being deported to Iraq is the one who planned the honor killing of his sister, and who sent these completely crazy SMSs to his sister saying that he would eat her and that he would kill her with his own hands and make her dig her own grave and all this terrible stuff. And he had beat the sister up, and even though the courts let him go of the honor killing planning because he didn't have a specific enough plan, the immigration office and the courts still decided that okay, this guy should be deported anyway.
Yeah, that's the case that I'm coming to, and these activists, they also have had demonstrations in which they read they read parts of the decision that they had gotten from the migration office. So they say that, yeah, I was oppressed in my homeland, and the immigration office told that yes, but your story is fake. So they were reading these papers, and since I don't want to be an Uncle Tom, because I'm not an Uncle Tom, but I thought that it would be a very great idea to organize a demonstration against the deportation of this honor-killing dude. And in this demonstration, I will be reading the case, what he has done.
The SMSs, they need to be read.
The SMSs, and I will be reading the deportation order, in which they base their decision on several European human rights court decisions. That, for example, in the Netherlands, they have deported also second-generation migrants, and in these decisions they say that it doesn't, because he claimed that, yeah, I came to Finland when I was 16, and I have lived for a long time in Finland. And the court says, yes, but if we look at the decision at some decisions in the European Court, we can see that it doesn't matter. The law says that even if you were born in Finland or any country, you can be deported if you do not have the nationality. It doesn't matter if you have for example, this Abdikadir Hussein, he came in 1990 to Finland, and I think he was born in 74, so that makes him, he was 16 when he came, and he has spent, I think, 22 years in the Finnish jail system and in psychiatric detention. So he has lived more time in Finland. So should we have let him stay in Finland just because he has spent so much time in jail? No. So we have now EU decisions that say that even if you are born in a country, you can be deported from it. And so I will be reading this, but it will be it's a mock demonstration. It's just trying to prove the point that these demonstrations, these activists are idiots because they do not know what they are fighting for. If they claim to fight for the right to live, and suddenly all these Iraqis that are in camps that are staying are saying that we will not leave Finland, we cannot go back to Iraq. And how do these idiots know anything? They do not know their history. They do not know their real identities. They have no idea. And of course, an asylum-seeking migrant can pretend to be nice to these activists, but what's the point? It's only because they're so stupid. But the thing is that I wanted to mention that we will be having a mock demonstration. I don't know, the decision came on July the 14th. I still have to find out if there's a known date for his deportation flight. If there is, I will be having it on the same day, but if it's unknown, we'll see in August maybe.
Will we go to downtown or the airport?
I don't know. He will.
The airport would be kind of funny.
Yeah, but it probably will have to be the Helsinki airport. Of course, there. But if we will, if we go to Helsinki airport and we are we are protesting against his deportation, there will be anti-racist protesting our thing. So
they will be protesting for deportations.
Yeah. So maybe it's worth going there. There will be, I don't know, but of course, if we have it here, it's much easier. I don't know. It's but that is a plan that I have made just to prove. But even I think they will not understand it. They will say that I'm still racist, even if I say that this honor-killing dude should not be deported. But, yeah, never mind. Let's continue with our fine blogger here. So if you do not blame those who oppress them, but those who are oppressed, okay? Because of course, in these, I don't know if it's useful to explain everything, because I don't know how well, probably the people who follow Swan's channel, they mostly understand, so I do not have to explain everything. But the oppressed are always, even if you're a millionaire in the US, but you are black, you still are oppressed. They believe that by doing so, they will be accepted.
By who?
I don't know.
Like, by who? You are accepted. Like, whose acceptance are we talking about here?
Just like the migrant or minority has to work twice as hard to keep his or her job. What job? The person of migrant origin has to be twice as racist in order to compete with the other white Finnish racists. Okay, so he has a formula. If your origin, if you are black, then you have to be twice as racist as the other white Finnish racist. And there's a constant. All the white Finnish racists are as racist. There are no differences. but if you are black, you have to be twice as racist as. But still, he says in the beginning, he says that they are worst racists, or some racists are the worst. So there's a difference. But does a black or a person of migrant origin have to be twice as racist as the worst racist, or
twice as racist as he would normally be?
I would love to have this guy on our
I'll definitely today I considered like, should I Facebook message him? Then I thought most likely he will just report me to Facebook, try to get me banned. So maybe I will try to find another forum, like send an email to him or something. I don't think he will say yes. These guys, they always have the same reactions. I have a video about that too. I think it's debating a leftist goes in practice, and it's about all my attempts to get a leftist on our podcast or on our live streams, and they always have the same stuff. They either don't respond, they block me. Some of them have even screen capped these requests I have sent them and whined about them in their anti-racist group. Like,
yeah, they're harassing me.
Like I was saying, hey, would you like to come to our podcast someday? And they have a huge victim box about it.
Yes, I also today I was watching another live stream, and in the comment section, I know they are also anti-racist idiots or anarchists, and I asked many of them, because the only interaction we have is that they just shout stuff at me, and I asked, because I know if I respond them in written form, they will not acknowledge. It will go on and on. So I said, would you like to come to our live stream? Who would like to spend time on you? You are all the time spending time writing your shit, so why not have a discussion, a debate? I asked several of these idiots, and one said that, yeah, but I do not want to give you publicity. Okay, a random anonymous nickname is not giving me publicity. I'm so oppressed. And he said, yeah, I don't want that you get super chat money. I said, if you come to our show, well, first we can do it on your channel, but if we do it on our channel, we will, if we get any super chat, we will give it away to you. So it would be a good deal. But no, they do not want. They said, yeah, I don't want to give you good publicity, because some people might see that you are a nice person. Yeah. So the only picture they want to give is their own made-up lies. They create lies, like, well, this is a small part, this Migrant Tale blog, but there's lots of these blogs in which are the only source of information for these the big mass that is what you might call social justice warriors, but not all of them are publicly writing or talking of anything. In fact, in Finland, I think there are zero anti-racists doing anything on YouTube. The only thing they are currently doing is writing these live field blogs.
But they have the mainstream media. Why would they need you to?
Of course.
They let all of these activists on mainstream media to write their bullshit as actual news. So why would they use you to?
Yeah, or they get on the radio, on TV shows and so on, of course. But yeah, I don't know if we had some airtime on TV or radio. I don't know. I probably still would be doing stuff on YouTube because it's quite fun. But yeah, the point was that we have tried, and still, if somebody. In fact, we also look for foreign people that if they want to come and talk. In fact, there was one guy that had read one of these Helsinki Sanomat article or something. There's a Vietnamese guy in some mainstream article or media that says, "I never encountered racism," and I was told that he could be a good guest. Also, another, if we look for foreign guests, I think this Martin Sellner would be a good. He's one of the guys behind Defend Europe, the project that in which they bought the rescue or the research boat, and they are They want to start to patrol on the Mediterranean to document how it really works, the cooperation between the human smugglers and the NGOs that are funded by the EU or other parenthesis eco people. I don't Soros and well, they are funded by some Putin or somebody pays for those rescue boats that go to the Libyan coast and come back to Italy. So this Defend Europe, probably everybody watching this knows. There's the hashtag Defend Europe on Twitter. Mostly the Austrian and French identitarian groups that had launched the not a Kickstarter project, but anyway, they
crowdfunding.
Yeah, crowdfund. They raised the money and they got $140,000 in a very short time. So they were able to buy the boat, which, by the way, is a Finnish boat that was built in 1975 and since has been sold to. It's sailing under Djibouti's flag. And currently, it's registered to Mongolia, I think. But this project has had very much problems because they were blocked on the Suez Canal. Then they were blocked in the port of Cyprus, or one of the ports. And I think just yesterday they were released. And now they are on their way to Italy. And from there, they will be monitoring the situation. And their, well, you can Google it, their goals are to document the project, making videos about it, and work like rescue operations, that if they receive a Mayday signal, they will go and fetch the refugees, but instead of bringing them to Europe, they will be working in cooperation with the Libyan Coast Guard. And it's funny how much how oppressed they are by the NGOs and the governments alike. And
like the only difference is that these guys won't be like hauling these migrants to Italy. The trip can take even 2 days from the Libyan coast, depending on what sort of a ship you're using, what port you're arriving to. And they are doing the rational thing, taking them back to Libya. That's so close, and that's where they came from. So that way they also won't be taking part in any human smuggling. And still they are met with so much resistance.
Yeah, the amount of resistance is quite well. It was expected that they would not be letting this easy, but so here on this animation, it's a video called People Trafficking. You can see the boats that come from Italy, and they come very close to the Libyan coast. They are maybe 10 miles from the coast.
And those don't look like rescue missions, which usually work pretty differently. That the rescue boat is somewhere in the port, it waits for an emergency call. When the call comes, the boat leaves for the area where the call came from. But these look more like the routes of a cruise ship, that they pick up these people, they toss them to Italy, then they immediately head back to the same exact area. They don't wait for emergency calls or anything. And then they move around until they find some migrants, then they toss them back to Italy, and the same thing, I think, continues. These are basically like cruise ships for migrants.
And you can see the counter on the first line. There's the date and the amount of people rescued on that day, and then there's the total. And you have to know that there's maybe each of these migrants probably pay for about 8,000 euros or dollars. So if you get 500 per day, it makes 500,000. It's very, as everybody lucid knows, it's a very lucrative business. And well, it's like Uber on the sea, except that they don't pay for it. And so this is what Defend Europe is working on, and they.
And we would love to get someone from there to talk to.
Yeah, there's this Austrian guy that would be. But it would
and Selna would be also interesting because of this identitarian background, these projects they have in Vienna.
Yeah, he's been. Well, we watched an Australian documentary that was mainstream media, so it was not so well. It was
Fake
not.
news.
It was not so bad, but still, he has been interviewed by many people, so we wanted also to do that. And, well, but to go back to the blog, and of course, if some of our viewers has contacts to any interesting persons anywhere in the world, it's always nice to, even if we agree on everything, it's always nice to bring different points of view, because there are many news outlets like let's say Breitbart, or many alternative news sites in which they have stuff, but it's always better when it's a person who is local to the events and knows more, maybe has bought the court papers, so he knows the exact details, and by knowing the language he can bring more accurate news. Because sometimes, for example, you can read lots of stuff from Sweden, but unless it's from a Swedish so-called far-right activist, if you read the translations or the other stuff, there might be some inaccuracies, and that's well, it's not a very big deal, but it's always nicer when the facts are locally checked. So that's also an advantage. And also we could bring more Finnish news to international sites by maybe translating some stuff, because also if you read even from the Swedish far right, you read stuff that for them the situation in Finland is good. They say that immigration is very controlled, and deportations are working very fine, and so on. But it's funny to read from the Swedish racist that in Finland it's good, but when it's not. But yeah, if we continue this thing, Simanov is a sad case who will end up forsaken and most likely unemployed for a very long time. The numerous interviews in far-right and anti-immigration trash publications like MV Lehti exposed that his plan to videotape Somalis on the bus had nothing to do with bombing a ride, but was a red herring, apparently with far-right PT media managed by Paavo Tajukangas, who publishes a neo-Nazi online publication.
And you should know that in my pretty popular video, Rioting in Rinkeby, my friend driven out by Muslims, the friend is this Paavo Tajukangas, who publishes in neo-Nazi online publications. And this is interesting that he's always labeled as so far right, when in fact Paavo is a very simple guy. He doesn't have a nuanced ethno-nationalist or identitarian ideology or anything like that. He simply has lived in Sweden for some time. It turned him into a racist, and his ideology is very simple. He wants the third worlders to stay out of Finland, so Finland doesn't turn into another Sweden.
Yeah, he moved about 15 years ago to Sweden, and at the time he moved there, he was interested in cultural diversity and stuff like that. But by staying there for 15 years, he has changed his opinion. But what is this? That the numerous interviews in far right and in blah blah expose that his plan to videotape Somalis. what fucking plan? He was. I don't remember how long he's been driving the bus. Probably 2 years, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we even asked that, or maybe he has mentioned that somewhere. Yeah, he said that his work history is clean. His work colleagues like him, and he has never had any problems. So he has worked for a long time there. But in his interview, he said that it's an everyday problem. This thing, and if I bring this up to my superiors, they say either that you are just making it up, or you just have to cope with it. It's there's nothing you can do about it. And so there's no plan. He just got fed up with the situation, that he was not believed, and with this anti-racist, if you say something, they will say, yeah, but that's this neo-Nazi propaganda. And then when you actually bring a video of the event, they say, yes, but that's racism, and don't respect the privacy of those non-paying customers. So either way, you lose. But this guy thinks that there was a plan to videotape Somalis on the bus, and this plan was a red herring. What is this nonsense? Apparently, with far-right PT media. PT media just happened to link to the YouTube videos and said that, yeah, look at this.
He bumped into the story. Paavo doesn't know this Gleb Simanov personally. They definitely didn't have any plan together. They don't know each other.
But yeah, this goes on. Polina,
and they call the right-wingers conspiracy theorists.
Yeah. Polina Kopilova published Saturday Migrant Tales, an analysis piece about Simanov's pro-Putin stance in the Ukraine. Okay, so there's this Polina Kopilova. I don't know who she is, but
there's a woman with a Russian name who says that he's a Putinist and a Putin troll, and we know that whenever somebody's called a Putinist or said to be in cahoots with the Russians, that's always true. If somebody says so, it's true.
And I don't know, but
like if CNN would say this, it would definitely be like an open and shut case.
It's, we have proof, but so I don't know what. Since he is a Russian citizen, he can vote in the Russian elections. I don't know if he has. We should have asked that, by the way. And if he, but since he doesn't speak even Russian, because he moved to Finland when he was 7, and But anyway, so he's pro-Putin. Okay, let's assume that he is. So what? Is that a reason to be fired? You cannot drive a bus if you have some political opinions. This is.
And let's keep in mind that Putin is incredibly popular in Russia. So are all Putin supporters bad people or something?
I wonder who drives the bus in Russia. Below is one of 2 video clips published in Kopilova's op-ed piece where Simonov denounces the Kiev regime's fascism and equates it with Nazi Germany. Okay. There is more to Simonov than meets the eye, like Islamophobia, and that he is a supporter of the far-right pro-Putin ideology. Okay. And there's a video of the bus driver, and then there's I don't know if this is well, you can read it. I'm not sure if this is
It's not that relevant
yeah
to this article, but anyway.
Yeah, so it's 1:10 a.m. currently here. Should we look for other blog art? He has had this.
That was a good one. Maybe we should at least see the chart he had made or he had found.
This is one day before, but the picture is very old. Finland's far-right cowardice and bravado. I don't know what that means, but why do they hide behind fake names and spread fake news? Fake names like all the names that he. One day later, he publishes a list of names. Gleb Simonov, the fired bus driver, who thought it was a good idea to post racist videos. How were they racist? What was racist in the video of his customers? Okay, so you enter a bus, you do not pay, you are automatically a customer. If somebody robs the bus, if somebody hijacks the bus, if somebody drives the bus in a crowd like a Scania truck, he's a customer. No, they are no, and publish them on a far-right website managed by Paavo Tajukangas. Fucking idiot! He published them on YouTube, and Paavo Tajukangas he put a link to this. Does this idiot know? It's in the previous article he had linked to this Polypoker, I don't know what, and there's a video of this Gleb Simonov in Ukraine or somewhere in a place where he has no right to go or whatever, which is a very bad video in his logic. Since there's a link on this idiot's blog, does this mean that he published the pro-Putin propaganda? I could write that, yeah, this Enrique Tessieri on Migrant Tales, a far left activist, No Borders, No Nations, has published pro-Putin propaganda.
It's the same as it was with the guy who thought he had you caught for being a neo-Nazi, saying that the Daily Stormer had done an interview on you when it actually was an interview by Vlad Tepes on YouTube, and Daily Stormer had picked that up on their website. So Daily Stormer had nothing to do with making of the interview. They had simply spotted it on YouTube and picked it up on their website. But this guy was, like, okay, you're this is the definite proof you are a neo-Nazi, that your interview is on Daily Stormer, or that you were interviewed by the Daily Stormer.
Yeah, so this video was this YouTube video, which is an interview by Vlad Tepes, which I assume is a fake name, like the far right does. This was linked in many places. I don't know. Is this guy a retard, or does he just spread fake news? Or disinformation.
It's always hard to tell from these people.
Yeah, Paavo Tajukangas, a fake name. Oh, so
how surprising, a fake name.
so
Because this name, Paavo Tajukangas, of course it might sound like a real name if you're a foreigner, but a Finnish person immediately recognizes that it's a joke name because the last name basically means knocked out or unconscious. So yeah, it's a fake name.
when the chips are down, racists and their followers run and hide. They rarely come to each other's rescue. After Simanov got fired Thursday, the former bus driver had appeared on populist and far-right social media platforms, like YouTube. He gives his account of what happened, but conveniently forgets to tell us why the bus company sacked him for inappropriate and racist behavior. This is true on the letter that the bus company gave him. The reason for being fired was inappropriate and racist behavior. There is no, and this racist behavior means that he published a video on YouTube. There is no mention of his ill treatment of Somalis on his bus, and that he calls them liars, among other things, without a shred of proof.
Well, you can see that video on my YouTube channel. You can check it out, the Somali teens versus the toughest bus driver in Helsinki. You can see what the kids are doing, and that he's completely right to call them liars. And the kids are like, okay, we call the cops, what do we care?
And this guy, so the Somalis had they claimed they had a mobile ticket on their mobile phone, because you can buy a mobile ticket, and they said, yeah, but I'm out of battery, and he said, well, I don't believe you.
No, the girls first tried. They didn't have a mobile ticket. They had taken a screenshot of an old mobile ticket, and they tried to pass it off for one that was still usable. And when the bus driver wanted to take a closer look at the ticket, the girls claimed that their battery died.
This is ill treatment. He said, I know, okay, sorry.
Checking a ticket.
I didn't notice you were Somalis. You please enter the bus without a ticket. Without a shred of proof, he says. Well, I don't know, but had they had tickets, wouldn't they have shown them? I don't know. Maybe. Usually when you go into a bus, you do so, but he gives his account of events, but conveniently forgets to tell us why the bus company sacked. Yeah, he's okay. So this is the same stuff that he writes twice the same stuff. One young Somali woman wanted to pay for the fare, but Simanov kicked her off the bus with a friend, calling her a liar. Okay, so if she had a mobile ticket on her mobile phone that had no battery, why would she be buying a new ticket? And well, since this blogger is retarded and an autistic idiot, he doesn't understand that they got caught cheating, and it's of no use saying, okay, so I will buy, because if you let them do that, every time they will try the no battery scheme, and then
yeah, and if that doesn't work, then they'll pay.
They say, okay, well, I'll buy a new ticket. You have to, and it's not a human rights violation. There are buses going every 5 or 10 minutes there it's Helsinki. There's the subway. There's no just. But how does he conveniently forget anything? Since he published the videos, the videos are there to everybody to see. everybody can see the videos, so he doesn't forget anything. So first he whines that he published the videos, and then he's been interviewed by many people. He's been even by the mainstream media. He's been interviewed. He doesn't forget anything. Simanov's arguments are nothing more than red herrings. He uses Somalis who allegedly want to bomb a ride without offering any proof of his claims, except the fucking videos that you are whining about, as a pretext to expose his hatred for them. It is a common far-right strategy.
As I said on my video, the claims about these Somalis, they can get you labeled racist, but showing proof that they cheat, that is sure as hell to get you labeled racist. So this guy would be racist if he just said that, okay, these kids try to cheat me. But now that he has shown the actual evidence, he's like super racist.
Fucking moron. Who is Paavo Tajukangas? There is another person who is trying to hide for cover by washing his hands of what happened. What? I wouldn't be surprised if he and Simanov planned the whole thing that got the bus driver fired. Okay, so Tajukangas, the guy who was in the Rinkeby riots, filming the Rinkeby riots, and who writes stuff based on Swedish media and translates them to Finnish. And well, he has a blog. He publishes a lot of stuff. He planned together with this bus driver, whom he doesn't know, so he would get fired. No, I think Simanov planned with YouTube. Simanov called Google with his Putin phone, and he said, "YouTube, get me fired. I don't want to drive the bus anymore, and make it look like I'm racist."
And for the entire time, he has gotten like Putin money, and the driving the bus in the worst areas of Helsinki for years has only been like a front, like a setup for this stunt.
The bus companies in Helsinki, there are many bus companies, but they share the routes. This particular company that this Russian driver was driving was in East Helsinki, which is not the best area in Helsinki.
That's why he runs into so many Somalis.
There's areas where
that's where he drives,
where 25% of the population doesn't speak Finnish. There's the schools in there. There are schools where 50 to 60% of the pupils are foreign language speakers. So it's not and you have these Somalis that try to enter your bus and so on. Of course, there are also in other areas, but this bus driver, he decided, let's be a far-right activist, let's be a racist, so I will get money from Putin. Why? If you get funded by what is this Putin? Putin is a hacker. He hacks elections. He sends money to far-right activists, but he pays so bad that they have to drive the bus.
Some people there have been wondering whether I read the comments, and yes, I actually do read them all the time. And for example, we got a message from a Finnish American who follows this channel.
Mm-hmm. In which state?
He didn't mention that.
No, but I would just, if wants to answer, he can. I'm not the
most likely Minnesota or something.
Yeah, the comment section is too far away. I cannot read it. But Swan is reading them, so it's. Simanov videotaped and Tajukangas published them. He did not publish anything. Simanov used his mobile phone and he uploaded the videos to YouTube. What does this Tajukangas have to do with this? And later took them down on his blog and YouTube. What the fuck? The bus driver, how it actually went is Tajukangas removed the links from his blog because he said, okay, even though I'm the worst racist and I'm far right, I hate Muslims and so on. These Somalis, they are teenagers, and okay, I don't want to publish them. I don't want these videos on my blog. And the bus driver himself removed them from YouTube because the bus company had asked him to remove them. And he thought that, okay, I will remove them. My point has been made. Let's continue. But the next or two days after, maybe the bus company said, okay, now you're fired. But Tajukangas has nothing to do with this, except that he had linked on his blog these YouTube videos and removed the links later because he said he thought that, okay, I would not have removed them because I don't care. The fact that Tajukangas states that we took them down from his blog and YouTube is pretty revealing. By we, he means he has a team there. He has people who speak Swedish natively. He has. There are also other people that are working on
It's
his.
not him alone, though.
It's like a. I don't know. We at Breitbart did this and that. It doesn't. You are alone, you fucking idiot, doing your stupid shit. We understand that, but not everybody is doing stuff alone. The fact that how stupid this idiot is. Tajukangas says that he's not a member of Suomen Sisu, a far-right white supremacist association, or belongs to either the political right or left. That's in fact, yeah, we have to check another. Let's give, if we can, Tajukangas the benefit of the doubt. What do the two pictures and links to a neo-Nazi association below reveal about himself? You be the judge.
Okay. Neo-Nazi association.
Okay, so here is I was at that same event. It was on last year's June 11th. Note the sunglasses. What is there to note about them? I don't know. He claims he's not a member of Suomen Sisu, and he's not. The fact that he held a short speech there. He talked about he mentioned the situation in Sweden and so on, and that, he said that it's not a good idea to make things like Sweden has done regarding immigration. If the picture and video don't speak volumes about his far-right ideology, what does the picture below tell us? And this is an old picture. It was, but this is some, I don't know, some idiot. I don't know if it's supposed to be a funny picture, or is the guy who
I think it's completely serious.
Yeah. I'm here.
After all, it was made by a local far leftist.
I'm here on here down, and the arrows, the blue here is a logo for an organization that is trying to become a party, a registered party. And then this guy, he actually calls himself a neo-Nazi, I think, or he calls himself a National Socialist. And this is the logo of a National Socialist organization. And here is one nationalist organization which is not National Socialist, and the logo here is it's the march that is held on Independence Day, and then there are various people here. On the right there's a writer and a translator. Here is an MP. Note the sunglasses. Here is the Tajukangas dude that he was talking about, and here on the left is David, the Dutch guy that was mentioned in the previous thing. And so I'm here, and the arrows, the first says that I'm a speaker in this organization. Well,
Finland first.
I have attended their demonstrations, and it is true, I have spoken there. Okay. The middle arrow here is saying that I'm an active member.
How active? Like,
I don't
yeah,
know.
we are both members in Suomen Sisu, but we have not taken part in basically anything these guys do. Like, we are very lazy members.
And the arrow between the National Socialist guy, actually, this guy got in the news here because there was an event in which a drug addict went to disturb their demonstration, and
he spat at this guy, leading to this guy taking a pretty hefty kick on the addict and killing him. Or the guy died a week later of injuries, but it was determined that the kick didn't per se kill him, that it was more his drug use and his lack of commitment to treatment that killed him. So this neo-Nazi wasn't found to be responsible legally for his death. He wasn't convicted for manslaughter, only for aggravated assault.
Yeah, so this guy here kicked a guy. The guy fell on the ground,
hit his head,
and died a week later. Okay, it was a big news, and he was jailed for a few weeks. But when he got free, I thought it was a good idea to interview him and ask him what really had happened. Had happened. And the arrow here says that I interviewed this guy.
That's a clear connection to neo-Nazis. First you were interviewed by the Daily Stormer, and now this.
Yeah. And well, there are various arrows, but this is the guy who has done this, has taken acid or things like that. Oops, who do we see in the chart titled? Paavo Tajukangas, again with other far-right heavyweights showing their links to neo-Nazi groups like Suomen Vastarintaliike.
Which is the Nordic resistance movement.
A coincidence? Is this guy... Is here? The picture is completely random. You just... Well, in fact, we have also made a picture like that with arrows going from different places, and so yeah, this guy, well, he drank a beer, and there's a connection to this. Anyone can make a picture, and this idiot uses this as source. Okay. Let's make believe that all of the above is fake news. Why not? If Tajukangas is a member and or sympathizes with groups like the neo-Nazi Vastarintaliike,
the resistance movement,
why does he have a podcast and publishes in such neo-Nazi websites and other trashy ones like MV-Lehti?
So this is again with the same thing as it was with the so-called Daily Stormer interview by Jure. So that Tajukangas, he keeps a blog site, and other alternative media outlets pick up his articles and repost them. he doesn't post them on all of these different websites. He doesn't work on these dozens of websites. He has one blog, and other news sites pick up his articles every now and then.
Who is Paavo Tajukangas? A troll. Okay, according to a story by YLE, which is the public broadcasting company, Tajukangas, who usually appears with sunglasses or a cap when in public. Okay, so is a troll living in Sweden that wants to spread fake news about a culturally and ethnically diverse community. A troll living in Sweden that wants to spread fake news. What the fuck? He was live streaming from the Rinkeby riot not so long ago. He translates mostly mainstream media articles into Finnish. He does what every alternative news site does. They mostly, a big part comes from the mainstream media, but there are added info. For example, there was a rape that occurred on June the 14th near where he lived or used to live in Rinkeby. And the news was that a 45-year-old Swedish woman was raped on a bicycle path by 3 youth. Okay, and in that area there have been many rapes like that, and the local women have put stickers which have the text warning there are migrants in this area. It's do not travel or walk alone here, and so on. So this news, and the 3 young men were arrested and jailed. It was 2 weeks ago, and they got arrested last week. And from the court we got, or I got, and Tajukangas also had received the information, the names. Every one of them had the name Ahmed. Two had the Swedish citizenship. One did not. He was Somali. One that had the Swedish citizenship had to use a Somali translator in court. And so by this we can deduce that maybe these people were Somalis. But unlike the mainstream media in Sweden, we like to publish the news as it is, instead of saying that 1984 style, that a person did something not good. So that's not, Tajukangas is not a troll. These idiots do not even know what trolling means.
Somebody disagrees with them and they just call them trolls.
Wiley writes, his real name is not known.
Of course it's known. We know what it is. But morons like this don't know for a good reason.
When I called him, he presented himself with another fake name and claimed to be a freelance journalist who wants to debate fake news. Tajukangas has lived the past years in Sweden but moved his blog to Estonia. He has written on his blog as well as more about exaggerated or fake news about Swedish refugees and immigration policy.
There's no need to exaggerate or make fake news about the refugees or so-called refugees in Sweden or their immigration policy. Both are so completely fucked up that there's absolutely no need to exaggerate.
And in fact, this YLE thing, this is most likely written by a known fact checker at that company. And it says that when she called him, but in reality, it was Tajukangas who called her. And it's a 5-minute phone call, and he owned her totally.
He simply wanted to know, like, why was she labeling him as a spreader of fake news?
Yeah, that was it. Wiley had made a news article about fake news and had listed several sites, and one of the fake news site was Tajukangas. So Tajukangas called this fact checker and asked, "Why do you call me a fake news site?" And she was and she was owned totally, and she is probably very pissed because the phone call was put on YouTube.
And this feminist so-called journalist on the public broadcasting, she has pulled stunts like this before. Like one time she was supposed to be at a feminist event in Rovaniemi, and Junes and a friend of ours from our Finnish podcast, Tuukka Kuru, they went to Rovaniemi to interview this woman. And apparently somebody had tipped her off that they would be coming to interview her, and they had simply a list of questions, completely normal questions, like there was nothing weird about it. And she goes on Facebook with the complete victim mentality, saying that neo-Nazis tried to ambush her at her feminist event. So that's how rational journalists we are talking about with this. When it comes to these public broadcasting reporters, that's how they are like.
So,
they are activists, like glorified activists.
Yeah, it's no, this is these publicly funded journalists, or call themselves journalists, they should not be like that. And if you try to call her, she does not answer. If you want to attend her events, she cancels them.
If you try to email her, she doesn't respond. And that's the sort of open journalism we have over here. Like they just want to preach. You can't ask any questions from them.
And by the way, she's a feminist. And funny thing is that there's a publication called Long Play in Finland, and it's supposed, or it's
supposed to do this like serious investigative journalism, but of course it's simply like left-wing activism.
Yeah, and there's this fact checker that got owned on the phone and who cancels her events and so on. She works for that publication, and there's another woman named Anu Silverberg, and there are a few others. And among these journalists that work for that publication, there's a guy called Ari Lahdenmäki, or Lahdenmäki, I don't know.
Lahdenmäki.
And he was on June the 15th, he got a sentence. He had raped a woman.
And it's interesting that these feminists who are so quick to call the far right sexist and women-hating, they have been completely silent about this. Their own colleague from the same newspaper they work for is now a convicted rapist, and they are completely quiet about it.
There's Long Play bullshit. They were whining this summer about a Facebook group that the Finnish police is writing in, mostly on their spare time, on their free time. There's maybe a third or 40% of the police force that is a member of that secret Facebook group. And some idiot sent these feminists some screenshots of that group, and in their eyes it's racism, and they have whined about this, and there's been police investigations about the police that spreads hate speech, and whining about completely.
And the leader of the police hate speech unit was fired for hate speech.
Yeah, but the fact that they employ a rapist, that's not
no biggie.
no. This he
And imagine if someone in the old media had done that. If someone in the alternative media in Finland had been convicted of a rape, like the mainstream media would be all over it. Like they would be writing about it for weeks. But now that it was a mainstream media journalist, they don't even mention his name.
If Taju Kangas had raped somebody,
but like they would go completely crazy on it.
But the rape happened in 2015, and I think this news outlet called Longplay, maybe I think they started in 2015. But anyway, they must have known this, and at least now they should be aware that okay, this guy was sentenced, and so what are they waiting for? This fucking fact checker is a feminist. She has a verified Twitter account, and if you have a verified Twitter account, you most likely are a feminist. The other woman I mentioned, she's also a feminist, and I think they are all feminists, and they are doing the same crazy shit that they do in the United States. So if I don't, anything for them is oppression and
sexism and misogyny, but
they believe, I think, in the wage gap. They believe mansplaining is a real thing. They believe all the bullshit. But when their colleague actually rapes a woman,
let's just shut up about it. Walk it off.
What do you mean by rape? Basically, watching a woman is rape, but raping a woman is not rape. And also, they have, since they have not mentioned this, they have not taken a stand on this. That yeah, we do not agree. We think that raping is bad. So they have said absolutely nothing. And the same, if this the guy who kicked the drug addict and the drug addict fell, if I do not say that I do not agree with kicking people, I condemn. I do not condone this. I condemn it. And if I do not say anything, they will say that I agree with it, because silence means that you agree. What are they doing then? I'd like to know. And this rapist journalist, in the court, he said that, yeah, but please do not sentence me, because I might lose my job. Okay. Okay, no. Yes. Okay, no. Oh, you have a job. Okay, no. Sorry, I didn't know. We will not. You are oppressing the working class by sentencing journalists.
But it's getting pretty late, so maybe we can call it a night. It's been a terrible heat wave in here, and I'm not definitely feeling my most active right now. Like, it's the middle of the night and we have the door open and still it's pretty hot in here, and we have all sorts of night butterflies and mosquitoes now floating around this apartment. The door open.
Yeah, it was. I hope it was entertaining for our viewers, and we'll try to make this a regular thing on Friday nights at the same time.
Yeah, and if we run into like some sort of articles or something, maybe do a sort of live stream every now and then. But let's start with these Friday nights.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks everybody, and remember to subscribe so you get the alerts when we start anything, or if one uploads
Yeah,
a
and
video.
there's something that was asked a couple of live streams back that I didn't remember to answer that time, and it was about whether the channel still can be supported via PayPal with the super chat on. And yes, it can. So that is still open too. And but I'll see if there's any more questions. Something we could.
Maybe you can put the address on in the description box later if it's not yet.
Yeah, I'll put it there once we are done with the live stream.
Okay.
Race war now, kill the kikes, the usual.
Okay. Thanks and bye.
Good night.